Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria, coming to you on the network service of the NTA. Next is newspaper review.
So got a newspaper reviewer looking very different this morning. If you like, looking really boyish. Chukwudi Okoli Ugbaja. Chooks the boy. Good to see you this morning. I'm very excited.
Wonderful commentary, my dear sister. You know, sometimes you got to learn to flaunt it. Being boyish is not something that drops just out from the blues like that. So we have to give some grace to God by showing it off sometimes. Demola, how you doing?
Great. You look great, too.
You like this boy?
Yeah.
Thank you, my dear. The cap will return, but I just decided to flaunt it today.
It's good. Change is necessary.
Thank you, my dear.
All right, let's take a look at what the headlines have for us this morning. We'll begin with the leadership. And the leadership leads with this story. Chief Justice wants over poor salary for judges. Writer says Nigerians will bear the brunt. Federal government will not toy with welfare judiciary, and that's according to the minister. You want to find out which minister? Page 4 has all the details. Beside the picture story, we have Abuja Light Rail ready for commercial activities. That's according to Wike. We're not asking for the government for anything new. That's coming from ASU. Bochi airlifts 1,221 pilgrims to Saudi Arabia. Details on page 12. And Jonathan calls for ceasefire in Rivers crisis. Details on page 15. Away from that, we have oil prices spike expected over Iranian president's death. Of course, that's making headlines in different papers across the world at the moment. Away from all of that, above the masthead, we have U.S. government questions ICC arrest warrant for Netanyahu. And minimum wage, the big issue. We stand on May 31 ultimatum. That's according to Labour. Finally, this morning from the leadership, we have revenue profile. Reps threaten to block MDA's account. Details on page 11. All right, so that's it from the leadership. Let's see what the Daily Sun has got this morning. The lead story says Nigerian embassy owes £8.3 million congestion charges in London. Ranked 4th among UK's 48 foreign debtors since 2003. Ranked 4th among UK's 48 foreign debtors since 2003. Details on page 22. That will make an interesting read, I assure you. Beside the masthead, we have Labour gives federal government end of May to reverse electricity tariff hike, reiterates ultimatum on minimum wage. Away from that, the picture story is a sad one here. It's about, victims of the Gezawa Mosque terror attack, which happened yesterday. Gezawa Mosque terror attack. The pictures are here, not so nice. I'm sure the details are in the paper. Away from that, below that picture story, we have AGF, NJC, Ramfak. Okay, 300% wage increase for judges, others. Honestly. This is good. Transcorp Power Post, all right. Away from that, we have Jonathan waiting to Rivers crisis. Of course, that's already taken. And then we have finally this morning, varsities facing existential threats in Nigeria. ASU cries out. So that's it from the Daily Sun.
Okay, all right. I have the Nigerian pilots, and below the nameplates, Abuja Light Rail ready for operation, says FCT Minister. By the story, it's on page 7. Court rejects Nnamdi Kanu's fresh application for bail. Details can be found on page 6. And Jonathan calls for ceasefire. Rivers crisis. Jonathan calls for ceasefire. Says State Governor Fubara, FCT Minister Wike must work together for good of Rivers people. Details of that story can be found on page 4. Lokuberi woos UAE investors into Nigeria's oil and gas sector. details on page 21. NAPTIP decries surge in baby factories across Nigeria. We can find that story on page 5. 47-year-old teacher backs life sentence for raping 7-year-old girl in Ogun State. So sad. The story is on page 7, and the minimum wage issue. We'll discuss that. Federal government financial outfit to lift 50 million Nigerians out of poverty. And President Tinubu, world leaders mourn Iranian president and foreign minister. Well, that's the front page of the Pilot newspaper. Chooks.
Demola, let me start with something we have been talking about on this program, but we'll keep on talking about it because I don't see any appreciable action being taken so far. The Minister of the Environment, that's Balarabe Abbas Lawal, is warning that tree cover in Nigeria has dropped to 3.7%, far below the 25% recommended for ecological balance. And the minister is saying that this is due to logging and charcoal production. The other time I said here, the little farming we do, one of the people that helped me do some work there, Tanko, said, Oga, you know the good thing about this place? You don't need to begin to clear weeds. You just come, you begin to hoe and say, and you're happy the desert is coming. Nigeria should wake up to the fact that desertification is happening on a steady basis and is moving south. Anyone who deludes themselves into thinking it's a northern thing, you just look at them. It's moving towards the river Niger. We must go back to tree planting and all that. It's very important.
We used to have that culture of this tree planting and government promoting it, and some weeks, days.
The East African countries still do that.
Yes,
Kenya, for instance,
we
Tanzania.
don't do that any longer.
We don't. There are many things we don't care about in this country, and we begin to ask, don't we know that the first law for the organism is to preserve its own life?
Yeah.
This should be taken seriously.
It should
I
be.
decided to lead with it because it is a very important issue. Very, very important.
I like this fact that the former president, being, a peaceful person, is calling for peace, ceasefire in Rivers State. I mean, you should expect that from him. Unlike other parties that will take sides, he's not taking sides.
No.
He's just
Jonathan,
appealing to them. Just appealing to them. Look, for the sake of the Rivers people, let there be peace in Rivers State.
Jonathan, he's no longer president, but we must say whom he has been.
Peace-loving.
Is a dove, a peace-loving person, ready to concede to you certain things so that peace would reign. I said here the other time, one of the news analysis we wrote way back in Bendel Broadcasting Service in those days, Lala Ibueku was the one who did that piece. You know how he ended it? Those who fight to the finish usually end up finishing themselves.
They end up finished.
They end up finished. Those who fight to the finish usually end up finishing themselves. Rivers people, listen to that.
Yes.
You cannot all draw daggers at the same time. It is a virtue to say, I am submitting to this situation so that the world around can be peaceful. It doesn't make you a weakling. But we don't seem to understand it, on this axis of the earth a lot.
No, we don't.
Need to.
Actually, I told someone a few years ago, we usually have a lot of arguments. And after a while, after about 2-3 months, I just told her, I said, look, you know that most of the time you don't win the argument, I just allow you to be. He said, really? Yes. I said, yes. So that peace will reign. He said, I didn't know. I thought I won.
You diplomatically banished them from further sensible talk, which they could have endeavored.
So when you say them, I hope you're not referring to the female.
Well,
This is not a sexist
By the way,
I
arrangement.
intentionally did not mention.
Gender has no
I just-
meaning.
No,
I
because
just the job we do.
because I heard you, Demola, you said you told her, and then he said them. So I just want to get it
Well,
clear.
I did the generic. I did the them. So if you're taking up cudgels,
You know one thing, Chooks, you can't win an argument with a lady.
oh really?
You just have
You've
to
made
argue.
up your mind.
Yeah, I have
It is
look,
not. It is not
it is
because
not-
you
it-
cannot
it's-
win an argument with a lady, not because she's not smart enough to win the argument, but just because, you know, women just have what it takes, you know, in whatever field, whatever aspect, whether it's an argument, whether it's a fight, whether it's a meaningful discussion, whatever it is, women just top the game. Anyways, let me quickly mention what interests me in the
You see
papers
now.
today.
You see cut you off totally. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
What interests me
Go
today
ahead.
in the papers is this story about countdown to ASU strike.
Yes.
I think that's an interesting read.
And
I think
Labour is saying we stand by the
May 31,
ultimatum.
of course. So, you
So
know,
the week we're going into is
It's a very
gonna be-
tough week.
Oh, it's going to be a tough one.
It's a week of brickbats. But let them know that dialogue ends it at the end of the day. If a war usually ends in dialogue, peace, why don't men start it early enough and avert the war? Why do we shoot ourselves in the foot? Again, it goes to intransigence. Who are you? Do you know who I am? Who are you? Did you pay my children's school fees?
Well-
Did you marry my wife for me? Did you build my house? Why should I be interested in who you are? It's an unfortunate statement on our climb, in our climb here.
anyways, I just hope all of these
do you
issues
know who
are
I am?
resolved.
Anyway, before we shoot ourselves, I think it's time that we call it a day.
It's already time?
Yeah, it's
The
time.
Chief Justice is warning over poor salary for judges. He
But they
says
are getting
it's the people-
300%.
300%.
We are working it out.
Wage increase for judges. I envy
Please
them.
make it happen.
Chooks,
Yes.
bye.
Who are you, Chooks?
We'll take a break now.
Who are you, Chooks, on this program?
We'll take a break now.
Who has been
Good morning,
ordered out.
Nigeria continues. Stay with us.